Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you're excited about the coming holiday. You've got great plans, whether you're going to be with family, friends, or maybe just on your own with one or two loved ones. I hope you're excited for the holiday. Take this time of year to count your blessings. I've been incredibly blessed this year. I know Shags, you have as well. And the lady we're having on tonight, well, she's always living close to God. She's maybe an angel on earth. Everyone that knows her knows exactly what I mean. She's a singer-songwriter, longtime outdoors industry professional, a member of the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame, the daughter of a gentleman who may be a Mount Rushmore type outdoor communicator, a great friend, a longtime mentor, and just genuinely one of the best people I've ever met. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Nathan Shags McLeod.
And I'm Lisa Snuggs, and I'm about to cry.
Welcome to the Driftwood Outdoors Podcast. So this is our Christmas episode. As you can tell, I got all dolled up in my favorite Christmas sweatshirt. Brandon actually got this for me a couple of Christmases ago, and then I had to decorate my mic with my beautiful Christmas lights. But I had recently read a study about Christmas trees. About 71% of Americans have a Christmas tree, but I was surprised with the percentage that had multiple, up to like 4 in their home. Now, this is about as decorative as we get in this house. We're not very festive when it comes to decorating for the holidays, partly because we're just both kind of lazy and it just sticks around. I took this actually off our wall. They've been up all year long, and the one strand. But I'm curious, do you guys do Christmas trees? Do you do multiple? We don't do trees in our house.
Oh, I haven't yet this year. I usually do. It's been a rough couple of years, and I just haven't had the energy. And you know what? I used to think people were crazy for putting their Christmas trees up at Thanksgiving. And now that I'm older, if you don't put it up at Thanksgiving, the next thing you know, it's New Year's. So I understand it a lot better now. But
Well,
I'm a pull and set up person. That always helps.
I am a diehard real Christmas tree person. I love the real Christmas tree. There's a couple different farms here in central Missouri that we've used. We've been going to Star Pines outside of Boonville for the last few years. But I turned a page this year, and I allowed someone else to saw the Christmas tree down. So Bailey's boyfriend, Jason, had never been to a Christmas tree farm before, and I allowed that strapping young man to not only cut the tree, but since he cut it too slow and we missed the shuttle, he got to drag it in a sled about a quarter mile back. We just really enjoy it. It's a tradition that we've kind of created. They have apple cider. You buy the annual ornament. You go out and hunt for the right tree. This year, Lauren said it's got to be tall and skinny. I don't know what she's saying about me, but it's just fun for us to go out and decorate it. So I enjoy the real tree, and then I like sinking it in my lake for crappie habitat.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm thinking about having just a Charlie Brown cedar and just stick it in a bucket. We've done that before when we've drug our feet and not gotten a real tree up in time. So I'll probably just go out and get a small cedar and if I could put some popcorn on it and candy canes.
I keep getting softer, Lisa, as I get older, and I go to the Christmas tree farms and you see all the Charlie Brown trees that are just getting walked past and they don't get picked. And I feel so bad for them. Like I feel bad for the trees. And then the Christmas trees, could anything be more sad than your whole life being spent grown into a Christmas tree and then no one picks you? Or if you're in the lot at like one of those Christmas tree pop-ups where you buy the real Christmas tree from the lot and it's Christmas Eve and you're still a Christmas tree like in the lot. I mean,
in the Target parking lot.
It just breaks my heart for those trees. I want to save all those trees.
That is sad. Let the dogs in the pound.
Years ago, I got my dad the leg lamp from A Christmas Story. And I think it was the only Christmas gift I've ever gotten him where he actually smiled. It was a pretty incredible experience. And we joked for a long time, like that was going to be the Christmas tree from now on. And then my poor mother wouldn't allow that because she's kind of like you. in the fact that Brandon, she loves the experience. Like when Savannah and I were first dating, that she made Savannah go out with them and they cut it down. And I think the first year it fell on her. It made for a really fun story because my wife now is pretty small. She was my girlfriend at the time, Savannah. But like the tree, she was cutting it and it fell down, and then all you could see were her little rubber boots sticking out. And I can't remember what I was out doing something else because that's not really my style. But then we came back and decorated and everything. So it was a pretty fond memory for sure.
I like gathering the tree. I'm not as much of the stringing the lights around it. And it was cute this year because we all kind of pitched in and did it. And then everybody dispersed and did their own thing. And then you came back and Lauren had like completely redone it. It looked like a department.
Funny.
Look, I'm notorious for having I'm not a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but kind of Charlie Brown decorator. A hodgepodge ornaments. There's no rhyme or reason. I mean, it looks like you just picked a few different ones up at garage sales every year and
No,
put them
I
on the
wasn't
tree.
going to cut it this year, was
But
it?
they all have meaning for me.
Sentimental
you know?
value.
Yeah.
Yes. But God bless her. She added all the trimmings and ribbons and fake berries. And so everybody came back later and they're like, yeah, nice job, Lauren. Nice job.
You know, it used to be that you didn't do that until Christmas Eve. You might get your tree, earlier than that.
Well,
But
Walmart these days is kicking the swimming stuff out in August to open up the Christmas aisle. So
Yeah.
it's gotten a little much. And that's something we can talk about too. Christmas traditions, what it's really all about, so on and so forth. We do have to cover a little bit of a sad period of time. And I'd like to just go ahead and get that out of the way. Lisa, we've talked about your father passing. Your mother also passed in the last couple of years. Shags lost his father this year. It's going to be the first Christmas without Larry. My heart goes out to both of you. I was able to talk to my dad today, and I don't take it for granted. I talked to
Right.
another friend from back home today, and he shared some tragic news with me, and we talked about how we're entering that period of life where a lot of those phone calls are going to start coming, and
Yeah.
none of us can take for granted the people we love. So, if either of you wanted to, say something about going into Christmas, after losing your father and mother, it's
Yeah. I lived away from home. I'm the baby of 5, and I lived away from home longer than anybody else, and I would come home for holidays and special occasions, or really just any time I could. And I always told my parents and my siblings that, it doesn't have to be Christmas. It doesn't have to be a birthday. Anytime we can be together is a blessing. And so I've tried to live by that. And I really tried not to put too much emphasis on the commercial holidays. And, but I understand now, having lost both my parents in the last 2 years and my oldest sister just this last February. I understand how people say, the holidays are tough. We had Thanksgiving at my oldest sister's home. My brother-in-law wanted us all to be there, and it was the first time we had all gathered. I think there were about 26 of us, so that's always fun, but it was hard. It really was hard to be in her home, and she was the hostess with the mostest and a great cook and just the life of the party. And so it was difficult, but it's something you have to do because life goes on and life is for the living. And learn, laughing again. When you go through these tragedies, think, gosh, how can I laugh? How can I do this without them? And somehow you do. You put one foot in front of the other and keep on going.
Yeah, and even with my dad, he had a good sense of humor and he was kind of stubborn, and I can imagine him just being quite honestly pissed off if you were like being too emotional over him not being around. I can hear him now just like, suck it up. Like it all happen. It's going to happen to all of us. That's the one thing we all have in common, that we're all going to have that time where it's our last breath. I honestly worry more about my mom. I know she listens to this podcast and stuff, and I'm not trying to get too emotional, but I can only imagine what it's like to lose someone that you've spent over 50 years of your life with. And I kind of, but luckily I'm the only one that moved away. Like my whole family lives within like a 10-mile radius of each other. So she has a very strong circle of friends and family. Like right now, I just got a text, super proud of her. We should mention we're recording this on December 9th. So people don't hear Lisa go, oh, I haven't got a Christmas tree. And this is going to come out like Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So we're working ahead for the holidays. But my mom just sent me a text of a picture saying I made it to the top of Diamond Head today. That's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. Her and like her BFF cousin are in Hawaii. They stumbled
Great.
into a trip where friends bailed and they asked, do you want to take the timeshare or whatever the place was? And it was $500 for the whole week to stay at this place. So then they just had to pay for a flight to get out there. So she brought her best friend and cousin Dorothy, who had never been to Hawaii, been to like every other single state. So they're out there enjoying
That's
Hawaii.
great.
And I really like to see that for my mom, just as a nice kind of a happy distraction leading into the
Right.
holiday at this time. And she's going to have my brother and sister and my whole family. Her parents are still alive, rocking and rolling in their mid 90s in really good health.
Wow.
So she's got a real strong circle around her. And yeah, it's going to be a little strange. Like this was our year to be home, to go back, Savannah and I, but since we spent the whole month of April there with my dad being sick and then passing, that we can't do it. So we're going to stay here in Missouri, and then we'll probably be back next year. So yeah, if they're listening, we're thinking of you. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, Lisa, tell us a little bit about your father and how his career ultimately inspired your own career. I mean, you did a lot of cool things, but definitely you're daddy's girl and following him
Yeah.
into the outdoor stuff. I can only hope that 40 years from now, somebody's interviewing Annabelle when I'm gone, you know.
Oh, I know they will. I know they will. And I'll start by saying, your mom being in Hawaii, I came across a photo the other day of my mom when she was probably 34 or so in Hawaii. And she and my dad, they instilled between the two of them. Of course, my dad made his living in outdoor communications, but my mom was a great angler and shooter in her younger years. And she and my dad took a trip around the world. They were on the Winchester skeet shooting exhibition team. Daddy was the press guy, but he was a great shot. And it was about 20 of them, I think. They made about 10 stops, and Hawaii was one of them. And so they instilled in us a great appreciation of adventure, but also a wonderful, wonderful home life. It was just a great balance. I came across a picture also. I don't know if you can see this or not. That's my mom, my brother, one of my sisters. Oh, I'm not in this one. Yeah, two of my other sisters. But we pulled a Coleman camper all the way from North Carolina to Boise, not Boise, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in 1970-ish. And it was great fun. Camped all the way and all the way back. And then 2 years later, we went to Mexico doing the same thing. And it was to go to the Outdoor Writers Association of America convention. So, when they say getting there is half the fun, they mean it. It really was quite an adventure that stuck with me all these years. And, but yeah, so doing things like that. And I kind of fell into my career. The last time we talked, Brandon, we were talking about some people just know what they want to do. And I've always thought, wow, that concept to me is almost foreign, because I've just kind of, even as a kid, I just was wide open to life and kind of fell into different things. And in addition to music, I worked in the fishing industry. It was my start into communications, working in public relations. I was the outdoor writer liaison. I would go to all the different outdoor writer conferences for Predco, Rebel Head and Cordell, Bomber Creek, Chubb, Lazy Ike, Smithwick, all those brands. And then I started working for COPA, was the executive director for, that's the Southeastern Outdoor Press Association. And so, yeah, it's just been a huge part of my life. And I got to thinking about that after that conversation we had. I thought, two of the things I considered as a career when I was younger was, one was a game warden and the other was a veterinarian. And I thought, if I had done either one of those instead of taking the path I took, I wouldn't have met Brandon.
Well, I'm right there with you, still trying to figure it out. I'm pretty sure, when they're driving me to my grave, I'm gonna be in heaven, wondering what I'm gonna do with my life. Like, I just someday I'm gonna know. But Shags is an example of somebody living their dream. I mean, this being a radio DJ is what he wanted to do, and he's one of those lucky few that figured it out early.
Yeah.
It was just one of those weird things that I just couldn't believe that the people on the radio were getting paid to do the things I was getting in trouble in, and it fascinated me. And I was like, "What? They're saying those type of things?" And I just remember the music would always get in the way. I'd get frustrated when the music would start playing. I was like, "No, I want to listen to this guy a little bit more. What's he going to do next?" So yeah, I can remember for as long as I can, I've always wanted to be on the radio and just kind of the center of attention. I was always the class clown, always had something smart to say, always got in a lot of trouble. But my dad, growing up, he always told me, I'll give you like the PG version, that he always told me my alligator mouth was going to get my hummingbird behind in trouble one day. And when he was alive, I really like to remind him all the time that this alligator mouth pays the bills now, Dad.
There you go.
So,
There you go. I've heard outdoor writers say that forever as well. I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. And granted, most of them don't make a whole lot of money, but it allows them to support their habit. They can go hunting and fishing and camping and hiking and pretty much pay,
Yeah, certainly
pay
in today's
pay for
world. I mean,
fun.
if you go back to your dad's era, there were some of those guys that were making a full-time career out of outdoor
Yeah,
writing,
he raised 5 kids working for a newspaper.
and every
We all know
newspaper
what.
in America had an outdoor column at the time, and
Mhm.
today it's next to none. I was thinking about it today. It's like I was doing invoices for my newspaper syndicate, and I had to delete another one. All I do is delete them. They've all gone out of business. What used to be 30 at one time is now down to like 7 or 8. And I was like, I haven't asked for a raise from this newspaper since I started there in 2006. But I never will ask for a raise. It's just unbelievable that they're still paying me what they did in 2006, because that's how the
Yeah.
industry has gone. And it's really sad. But as you
But then
said, there's
then you
still
have
a way.
formats. Then you have formats like this. It's
Right.
just an evolution,
That's
but
right.
it is difficult for a lot of people.
You gotta change. You gotta keep
Mhm.
changing. So yeah, when I
Um,
started in the outdoor media groups, there weren't podcasts. I talked to
yeah.
people about that today. YouTube was kind of a thing, and there were no podcasts. And so what's coming next? And just keep your sword sharp and be ready for it.
That's it. One thing that I'm involved in now, I'm officially, I guess, I got my Medicare card the other day, so I guess I'm officially retired. But I volunteer with the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. I'm on their selection committee, and I'm also heading up a youth writing contest. And this will be the first year, and I encourage all your listeners to share the news. It's for kids between the ages of 12 and 15 inclusive. And we call it a writing contest because the written word is the basis for everything. I mean, this is not scripted, of course, but for good stories, whether it's reporting or a feature, the written word is where it all began. So eventually we hope to do, podcasts and little movie clips and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, we decided we would start with the written word and see what happens. And so first prize pays $300. That's pretty good for a teenager.
It is. I actually had to send an email today to a couple employees that are putting together a newsletter, a digital newsletter, and they're doing a great job overall. It's a guy that works for us and then a contracted person. But I read my column, which is the first thing, and in the first 2 paragraphs there was 3 typos.
Mm.
And and that is just not acceptable for me. And I fired off an email, and I was pretty blunt. I said, look, I may have delivered this copy to you as the writer with a couple of typos in it, but you're the newsletter editor. It doesn't go out until it doesn't have any typos. And I think that, that's a businessman, and they just don't take it to that level that we do. I put in there, this is embarrassing for me. And I feel that way. If there's one word missing, and I'm guilty of it, but I'm also guilty of the luxury of having editors. I learned a long time ago that they were going to take my baby and make it look the way they wanted. So if they get to do that, then they also get to make sure that the copy is tight. That's what the team does.
Right.
So as editors, it's, their job to make sure. And that's what we're losing. We're losing a lot of that as we go to just kind of free form internet-based text and copy. Unfortunately, a bunch of it's becoming AI, and even more of it is being distributed before there's any kind of editing process or any kind of proofreading process. So we're losing the quality, I think, that existed in the past.
That's unfortunate. Well, one of our rules is that the copy, they have to promise and pinky swear that it's not AI generated. So.
My kid got in trouble at school as a senior in high school. Oh yeah, she got called straight out, and she came to me and she's like, "What do I do?" And I said, "You tell the exact truth. You tell your teacher you're sorry that you did it and that you're going to rewrite that paper before you get to school tomorrow." And she did, and the teacher accepted it. The teacher was expecting her to lie, like most kids would do in that situation, I think. And she just told the truth. I was busy and I took the easy way out, and she works, and she has a busy life, but it's unacceptable to me.
Yeah.
To fake it as a writer.
Yeah.
So where can these people go to enter this contest? What are the details on it? How long is it running, and where can they submit their stories?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, just go to National Freshwater Hall of Fame website. You can just Google National Freshwater Hall of Fame or the Lindsay Celtini Award. It'll be on the front page. They can find me on Facebook, and I can help them get there. The deadline is January 10th, so there's plenty of time to get it in. It's all done on an online form through the Hall of Fame website.
And
let's talk a
I'll put all that stuff in the show notes too, the links to all of it for you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about that Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, because I went there when I was a kid. I have these incredible pictures of me around 10 standing in the mouth of the muskie.
Yeah, it's the giant muskie museum,
it is. It's
isn't
a 7-story muskie museum. The grounds are beautiful. I've got a picture of my grandpa with one of the fake fishing poles on the giant bluegill. I mean, they got statues like the one in Baudette, Shags, of all these different fish.
Yeah.
And I know Tim Lesmeister is real involved as well. When I look it up though online, it looks like it hasn't changed much since I was there 30 years ago. And clearly Johnny Morris is doing quite the job of building a conglomerate of all these Hall of Fames down in Springfield. What is going on with the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame? What does the future look like for that organization?
The future looks good. People like, I'm with you that it's got that old fashioned feel because it looks like not much has changed, but every year they do a little something physically to the grounds and or the museum itself. I haven't been up there in several years. I hope to go back next year. We meet once a year, but Zoom has pretty much taken over. It's a neat little town. The contest, Hayward, yeah. The contest is the newest venture for the hall, and we're real excited about that. When COPA and OJFA dissolved, we gave the hall $25,000 seed money kickstart this, and that was really based on the original seed money that came from Stu Tenney, Lindsay Seal Tenney, his late wife, was just an extraordinary woman. She was well educated. I always say that she impressed me because she was just as comfortable in blue jeans, brushing a horse, as she was in diamonds and evening gowns. So she was really something, and could fish, and loved to write and photograph. She helped Stu establish Striper back in the 80s, Striper magazine and Striper tournament trail.
Oh, cool.
And quite a businesswoman too. So anyway, she loved sharing her knowledge and encouraging children. And so in that vein, that's how we got together on this contest.
That's great. Well, I've always held that place in my heart, and I think it's special that it's still going. And I do hope the future is bright for it. I hope there's an opportunity for it to stay up there in Hayward and continue to thrive as an independent museum and Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think it will. And I will tell your listeners and viewers that it's got a short season, so yeah, if you want to go, make it a priority and go up there and see it.
Do they close down in the winter?
They have to close down in the winter because there's so much snow and it's so cold. So
yeah. Well, I didn't know. I mean, we did our podcast last week with Paul Johnson from Lake of the Woods, and there's so many people that go north during the winter for ice fishing trips and snowmobile trips. And, I get the grounds would be covered and perhaps too hard to keep open, but you never know if financially it might not make sense, but if I went up there ice fishing, I'd want to stop in and see it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what are the qualifications since you're on the nomination committee? Like, how does one get into the Fresh Fishing Hall of Fame?
Yeah, because that's Shags with one S, Lisa. Just so
yeah, one G, one S, or I guess two S's, front and back.
And your blood type and your Medicare lottery. So it's a simple process. Usually people are nominated by a family member or a fishing buddy. When we get the nominations, we internally break them down into different categories like guides or writers, biologists, just so that we can kind of get our heads around that what people actually did to contribute to the fisheries. And then it just becomes a point of, just like any Hall of Fame type deal, you just really scrutinize and review what people have done. And it's hard. It's a difficult job because they do get a lot of nominations. And we probably ought to do something like this, because without the benefit of actually knowing the person or seeing the person, you're just looking at a piece of paper. So unless somebody in our group, on our committee, actually knows the nominees, that makes it a little more difficult. But they stay in the pool, so to speak, for several years because we do get so many nominations.
So Kenny Keyser has been on the podcast. He's a member.
Look at this, the Al Agnew. There's a handful of guys that we've had on this podcast that are in there.
Larry Whiteley, who I talked to today. We got to get Larry back on the podcast after the first of the year. So there's a number of Missourians in there for sure.
Is it Mark Van Patten in there too?
I'm sorry?
Mark Van Patten. Yep, there he is.
I'm on your you're on the side.
Your list now.
Okay. Yeah, it's a long list.
Bill Dance.
Well, maybe someday.
Another guy we had on the podcast.
Who's that?
Bill Dance.
Oh, well, we can start into that kind of road because, we're two guys that got to talk to Bill Dance for 2 hours. Lisa could pick up the phone and call him right now and say, "Hey, Bill." So
But
talk to us about that. Like, you've had an unbelievable life filled with just such cool people. Bill Dance. I want to talk about Willie Nelson. Merle Haggard owes you money. Just keep going down the list. But
oh my gosh, well, let's start with the outdoors. Ran across something just today that's this is an original. Let's see, this is from 1971. It's the prayer that Homer Circle wrote for the first Bassmaster Classic,
oh
and my
wow,
dad thought to.
oh
And
wow,
Wow,
I
that's like
got
the original.
yeah, and I've got another one that's the same prayer that he did somewhere else, and it's written in his famous green felt markers, what he always used. Then found my dad's charter certificate member signed by Ray Scott. And
oh
yeah, the Book of Black Bass. Ray sent this to my dad November 7th, 1971, the week after the first Bassmaster Classic, thanking him for being there. This earliest writing on bass fishing to my buddy Bodie, earliest friend of bass at a time when friends were scarce and mighty needed.
oh wow,
Isn't that
That's
great?
incredible to think where that program is now. And
oh
Oh, yeah. I
and
mean,
just amazing.
hundreds of thousands. Yeah, it is amazing. Started from, next to nothing. So,
so
yeah.
another lady we need to get on the podcast in the future is Pam Swarner from down there
Oh,
in
yeah.
the Alabama Black Belt region. But because of you and Siopa and her, we got to do some really neat things. And one of those for me was going and staying with Ray Scott at his place. It was,
Oh,
I believe it was Richard Sims and Ken Peratt, myself. Yeah, I was there for sure. I remember. And then somebody else, I can't remember. There was 4 of us that got to go out there, and my bed had a little plaque on it that said President Bush slept here.
yeah.
And he's sitting out on the veranda and telling us where Rick Clunn caught the 13-pound lake record. And man, as a kid that grew up with bass stickers on every tackle box I ever had on the back of my first car. My uncle had it on his work van, and then I'm all of a sudden hanging out with Ray Scott.
With Ray Scott.
And that was all because of, Siopa and you and Pam and those opportunities that came with those great years. It was, how cool is that,
It's very
unfortunately.
cool. It's all about the people. It's
Oh
all
yeah. So I'm leaving, Lisa. I don't know how much I've talked to you about this, but I think I've been doing it for a while, but I'm closing in on finishing my 50 and 50 by 50, which is scary because that means I'm getting closer to 50. But I'm leaving this week and hitting West Virginia, the New River, for a squirrel hunt with some backcountry hunters and anglers folks. Then going to Havre de Grace, Maryland, and hunting the Chesapeake Bay where the Susquehanna dumps in. You go out on a mud flat and they call it body booting, which I'm super excited about. And then down through Delaware, all the way through Delaware, stop by and see my buddy Taven. Shout out to Taven. And dropping into that very northeast corner of Virginia on the peninsula out there. The little town is like Chickeny. There's there's an eagle named after it, or a hawk. But it's a national wildlife refuge, and there's a lot of public land on that peninsula, and they're overrun with deer. I hear you can get 6 with one license, and for $15 you can get 6 more. So
Wow.
I'm only going for 1, but all of that is about the people and the places. I have to make it hard, so I have to be successful in the hunt. It'd be easy to say I went there and hunted and just kick my feet up and have a fire, but I have to be successful in the hunt. So that's the challenge of it all. But it's not about that. It's about who I meet, the places I see, the places I eat. I just booked a really cute bed and breakfast. Lauren's going. She's got to work through the day. So I was going to just get another Fairfield Inn. But then I was like, you know what? For $50 more, you can get this little bed and breakfast in this tiny town in Maryland on the ocean. Or on the Chesapeake Bay. I just love it. I mean, that's what it's. I don't care if it's fishing or hunting or camping. It's just about the travel and the people for me.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, my dad just by his love of it, we all came to love it. We all like to travel. So what are you going to do with the 50 before 50? What's
Well,
your
it's
ultimate goal?
a book. So
Okay.
it's 50 in, 50 by 50, A Hunter's Quest to Experience America. And I tell people the way Anthony Bourdain used food to connect to people in places, I'm just using hunting.
There you
So
go.
it's a look at, my life over 40 years as a hunter, because I started when I was about 10. Clearly a lot has changed with me since I was 10. So how have I developed as a human? What's changed along the way? Who are my influences? What have I taken away from being a hunter, and how have I seen hunting change, in my opinion, over those 40 years? And then, of course, where do I think the future's going? How does it all tie together? What are the common threads between a guy hunting in California and a guy hunting in Connecticut, or a guy in Alabama and a girl in Alaska? But what are the differences culturally? Some states you can run deer with dogs legally. Here in Missouri, that's just a big point of contention. It's like, so there's all these differences, but similarities, and I want to explore all of them.
I'll be curious. It may not be a part of your book, but you mentioned public lands. In my career, in working with writers, that has come up so often as to why people don't hunt and fish, mostly hunt. It is access. And
Yeah. I had this gentleman come by today. I've only been where I live now for a little less than 2 years. I'm in a county of 8,000 people, so rural, there's not a single stoplight. And I've gotten to know a few of the neighbors around. I've been in the same county for a long time, but I was a South Sider. Now I'm a North Sider. This gentleman knocks on my door, and he's got to be pushing 80, and he's a farmer, and he's got his bib overalls on, and well, I wonder what I can do for this gentleman, and he had lost his dog, and it turns out he'd lost his dog before, but Annabelle had found the dog on our farm and called him, and he came and got it. So he came here about 2 miles away to check and see if I'd seen his dog. And I said, sir, I haven't, but you know what? I've got a drone. If you give me about an hour, I'll come down to your house. We'll fly the drone. We'll search the fields, see what we can come up with. And he said, well, I really appreciate that. That's so kind of you, And not 30 minutes later, he came back, and he had found the dog. So he drove all the way back to tell me that he found the dog. And then he just came in the house, and I'd never met this man before, but he spent an hour. I was showing him my turkeys and the deer, and he said, you're just the kind of guy I would love to have hunt my land. And every hair in my neck, I was, whoa, Christmas or what, and I'm thinking, well, I'm the kind of guy that would love to hunt your land. But he's like, but I lease it out to guys from Baton Rouge. So more than Louisiana guys that we keep hearing about. And I said, sir, that's good for you. I'm happy for you. But then he started talking about cellular cameras. He's like, one of them boys gets pictures to his phone. And I said, yeah, I have a couple of those too, but I actually turned them off. He goes, good, because it ain't fair. And I said, I respect that. I respect that a lot, So just that, talking to this 80-year-old man.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I got 100 deer in my fields, because we're dealing with a situation here in the state where you got some people saying that there's no deer left. There's, we're pushing 2 million deer in this state. It's out of control. I have a wrecked car in my driveway from Annabelle hitting a deer. I've hit a couple in the last couple of years. They're just everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and,
Here too.
but he's like, it's all leased up, 800 acres, 2 miles from my house. I know.
That's a
And,
big farm.
But that's been the change. He remembers when there were no deer.
Right.
He very vividly remembers when there were no deer. And now he's like, there are far too many deer, very
Sure.
explicitly. And then you get on
Yeah.
social media and somebody's like, there aren't any deer left. They've all been slaughtered. It's like, buddy, I don't know where you're hunting, but it's that's not true. So
No, it's not. But meeting guys like that is just so much fun. I could listen to those kind of guys all day long.
Yeah,
You got a kindred spirit there.
I don't know how
I'm
we don't have a little restaurant coffee shop out here. I would go hang out with them old men every day if we did.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious too, because you do so many things musically. Do you see any type of comparison? Because even with my doing classic rock radio, I I got a lot of friends who are musicians and are really talented, and I like to see the similarities in like the outdoorsy groups and the musicians, and you kind of see a lot of the similarities between the
Mm-hmm.
two. I was wondering if you've ever noticed that either
Oh,
in your
yeah.
travels.
Definitely. And there's so much talent out there. And when I first started singing, Billy Murray, who is Bobby Murray's brother, Bobby won the first Bassmaster Classic. Billy Murray was involved with the Indiana State University's Bass Fishing Institute, and they traveled all around. And he came to me. I was entertaining at one of their functions, and he said, "You ought to take Merle Haggard's song "Ramblin' Fever" and sing "Fishin' Fever." And he had written all the words out like it should be. And I recorded that. I think it was 1982 or 83. And it was so much fun. And then as I started singing and writing songs about fishing and just being outdoors, I would learn about other people doing the same thing. And it was kind of a a I don't know, a little click back then. But now, so many of the country singers in particular are big hunters and fishermen. And so, yeah, it's fun to see them, you know, for it to come into the mainstream, to hear about fishing on the radio.
Yeah, it can buy me a boat. That was the Silver Bullet song. That guy's from Missouri, Chris Jansen.
Yeah.
Got a Yeti 110 iced down with some silver bullets.
And what
At least
about the one?
I've been amazed by your musical abilities for a long time. SEOPA, the Southeastern Outdoor Press Association, one of the things that made that organization special was just this family atmosphere. You definitely felt like family. And at the end of each conference, they did a deal called Pickin' and Grinnin'.
Mhm.
And Lisa was the angelic voice of Pickin' and Grinnin', but there were a lot of cool people
Yeah.
in there on guitars and singing songs. Rob Simbeck, name some more, Lisa. That was
Glenn Harris at the Barroom, some of the old timers, Sharon Rushton, who was from Missouri. Who's the NFL Hall of Famer, Jackie Smith?
that was when he would do Danny Boy.
Yeah. And he liked to sing a cappella, and it was just incredible.
Yeah. So
Mm.
that was really fun. And it was also very humbling for me because I've always wanted to play an instrument. I joke I got a guitar for my 18th birthday. I still have a guitar on a stand in my living room. People come in, they're like, "Oh man, you play the guitar?" I'm like, "No." I just look at it and realize I am a failure in that avenue of life. Like it's
Oh,
just not there
no.
for me. And I've tried even writing songs. And I talked to a guy one time, and for the life of me, I don't know who it was, but I said, "Look, I get the words. Like I can put the words together. I just don't hear the music. I don't
Oh,
know how someone reads those words and then hears like a melody, and starts like feeling the beat. Like that eludes me." And he said, "Well, dummy, you're not a songwriter, you're a poet." And I was like, "Okay, I can live
oh.
with that." But
It's
Jim
fun.
Harrison.
Sometimes I look at songs quite often, really, that I've written, and I'm like, where did that come from? It's a blessing. I had one line in my head, or two lines. It turned into four lines pretty quickly for a long time. And Rob was here, mentioned Rob Simbeck, and I played it for him, and I said, "I just can't get any further." And he looked at me and said, "Did you ever start to think that you've already got the chorus?" I was thinking it was a verse. He said, you've got the chorus. In 30 minutes, we had the whole song done
Oh
after I'd
wow.
been singing it in the middle of the night for a year.
Well,
It's just a
when we
fun
talked on the
process.
phone earlier today, I brought Rob up to you, and I said he reached out to me recently, and I do want to give him a shout out of the many things I'm thankful for in my life at this point is no longer being a drinker, and Rob was always the guy at Ceopa, at picking and grinning, having a great time, life of the party, but letting you know he'd been sober for over 30 years, probably 40
Mhm.
years at this point. And, showing me pictures of back when he was my age and my old age, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago. And when he was running hard and doing
Yeah.
all that. But, sometimes it just takes a while for things to sink in. But now you look back, and you're listening to him tell this story while you're on your like third or fourth drink. And you're like, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
great,
good.
Rob,
Yeah.
and now you get there and you're like, all right, I get it. I get it. I know what you were trying to do, and I appreciate that you planted that seed. And I'm sorry that it took so long to grow in this dirt, but it did grow, and I appreciate Rob for that.
Yeah, he's an inspiration on so many levels. He doesn't um, beat it into you, but
Mm-mm.
he's very, very quick to share.
Lead by
That
example.
is lead by example. I told him one time, I said, I'm glad I didn't know you when you were drinking because I just can't imagine him doing that. So anyway,
Yeah.
great guy.
Well,
Well,
we've teased it a couple of times, but we haven't gotten there. Like we got to hear the
Uh-oh.
Willie Nelson and the Merle
same
Haggard
thing.
Oh, okay. We got
stories.
off track, didn't we? Oh, let's see. Um, I was in high school. One of my sisters was a big Willie Nelson fan, and he came to town. And she ended up meeting him, and she called me, well, we didn't have cell phones back then. She came to my school and got me out of school and took me to Willie Nelson's bus before he left town so I could sing with him. And we sang Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. That's my Willie
Wow.
Nelson story. But Merle Haggard that was a funny one. I went to a Bassmaster Classic in Montgomery, Alabama in the 70s, I believe. Might have been 1980, somewhere in there. And I saw him, and he was standing in the little lobby area of the hotel with Forrest Wood. And I just broke out in song like a stupid 17-year-old, saying that, I'll fix your flat tire, Merle. Don't you get your sweet country picking fingers all covered with Earl. Do you remember that song? Obviously, had to be there. But anyway, he just looked at me and said, you got a quarter? I said, well, yeah, I think I do. And I dug in my purse or pocket and got him a quarter, and he got him a pack of Marlboros out of the cigarette machine. So that's my brush.
You sang for him and he charged you.
Yeah, go figure.
Well, let's talk about a
Yeah.
little your music, though. You just
Yeah.
released a beautiful Christmas song. I shared it with Shags. I shared it with Lauren. I sent Lauren your album. I mean, you're on Spotify. You're on Apple Music. You do a lot of gospel. You do, I don't know. Do you consider it country? It's definitely a gospel.
It kind of falls into what I guess people call Americana because it's such like on my album, a couple of them are gospel. There's some that don't fit any category. There's some that are kind of folky ballad types, and there's even a couple bluegrass. So it doesn't really fit a specific genre. But my Christmas song, I'm really tickled with it. I don't have the voice that I did 20 years ago, but I love to write, and this song is called "The Reason for the Season." Came to me about this time last year when my oldest sister was so sick, and thankfully I was able to play it for her before she passed. And as a matter of fact, I'll have another song coming out in late January that is subtitled "The Hospice Song," and it's about the actual dying process. You're knowing that your loved one is going to die. Yeah, like Shaq said, we're all going to die. We all know that. But when it's in black and white in front of you and you're dealing with it on a daily basis, it's very different. And I call that one, I'll hold you close enough to let you go.
Wow.
And so that one's very, very close to my heart. I recorded it in March, but I was saving it to mark the anniversary of her passing. But the Christmas song, it starts out, you think it's going to be sad, but it's a song of hope. Like we were talking about earlier, you put one foot in front of the other, and there's so many reasons to be grateful. So no matter how bad things get and how sad you are, yeah, I still cry a little bit every day. I'm about to cry right now. But there's just too much to be grateful for, and so much beauty out there. Good friends.
It's a beautiful song.
It is, and I don't know how, but we'll figure out how to add it to the end of this podcast. So when this podcast comes to an end, I'm sure you can send us a file or something that we'll figure it out, but we'll share it on our social media platforms. And, hopefully people listen to the Christmas song and then they go listen to some of your other music and check out my favorite song of yours, which is God Knows My Name.
Oh, I am so glad. A lot of people don't mention that, but that's one of my favorites.
I think that's my favorite song of yours. I like it a lot.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, check out Lisa on Lisa Snuggs on Spotify, Apple,
and anywhere you get your music. Yeah.
Yep. So
we'll
pretty neat.
Put the YouTube link in the show notes as well, and that stuff for you too.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, what does the future look like for you? You had this incredible career in the outdoors. You know everyone. You're the darling of that generation. There's no doubt about it. You've got music going on. You've got a wonderful husband. We haven't even mentioned Henry. And he carved me. He carved a perch, yellow perch for me, and I don't think he knew that yellow perch were my favorite fish. It just was. I don't even know how I got on his list of gifted fish, but I'm so grateful for it. It hangs right next to my desk. Everyone knows that's my favorite fish, at least to eat. So I'm going back to Devil's Lake first 4 days of February, trying to get that magic 15-incher to put on the wall. So
that's a challenge.
So you've had some heartbreak over the last couple of years, but you've still got a big full life, and I'm excited to see what's next. What are you doing?
I'm still in the well, for the immediate future, I'm going to be going through I don't know, a couple of 100 antique fishing reels.
Oh, Shag's gonna start sweating.
I can look
behind him. If you look behind him, that's
you can see the screen, but the whole wall behind me is antique lures, and you don't see my cabinet in the other room. That's nothing but antique fishing reels.
Okay, I wasn't sure what that was, but yeah. Oh yeah, well, Have you been a good boy this year?
I've tried.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Compared to some other years, I've been
getting better every year.
Yeah. So I'll be dealing with the tangibles of my parents' home for a few months more anyway, and get that squared away. And then I don't know. I'd like to volunteer so that I'm not so constricted, to have to be a 9-to-5 kind of person. But I'd like to maybe volunteer at a senior home. There's a new senior center here that's just for daycare. It's like as a matter of fact, they built it in a former children's daycare.
Oh wow!
Just for senior citizens. So I might do that. And of course, I've got my work with the Fishing Hall of Fame. Yeah, let's just see what happens. I hope I can write more.
You should travel out to Missouri and spend a few days.
I might do that.
Yeah, it makes me. We talked a little earlier today, and we're talking about my older daughter and potential move to South Carolina, which is something that makes me so proud and so scared and sad at the same time. And But knowing that Aunt Lisa might only be 3 hours down the road,
And I have my cousin lives there in that same town.
that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and she's good people. So you need
Well, she said
anything.
today she wanted to go to Australia, so I'm feeling a little bit better about South Carolina.
Well, I have a sister-in-law in New Zealand, if that helps.
Oh, she went there. So Bailey went on a
that's
study
right.
abroad trip for about 3 weeks to Australia and New Zealand, and met her new boyfriend there, and they've been together a while now, and just a life-changing trip for her. So it was money well spent by Dad to send her on that trip.
Good. Well, when my parents went on that trip around the world, I asked my mom years later, it's been really just, a decade or two ago, I said, Mom, out of all the places y'all went, where would you go back? What was your favorite? And without a hit, she said Australia. She just loved the people in Australia.
Well, Bailey said if I ever go to New Zealand, they'll have to kick me out of the country because I won't leave.
You and Lee, yeah. I'd like to go. Do you remember Stan Fagerstrom, the trick caster?
No.
He traveled there and to South America a good bit doing his trick casting. And he said it was the most beautiful place he'd ever been. I've heard that.
Shags and I are going to Argentina with a couple buddies in September. Gonna chase golden dorados.
Oh.
We're going fishing. So, we're
Bucket.
excited.
Good deal.
Well, should we move into the Christmas mystery bait bucket?
Yeah. Told you to go fast, Lisa.
So, Lisa, what you
Yes,
see in
dude.
front of you is a legitimate antique bait bucket we got at the Midway Antique Mall down the road. It's a fun way to wrap up the podcast. There are just questions submitted by people that listen to the podcast. Sometimes it has to do with the outdoors. Sometimes it doesn't. You just never know. It's just a fun way to wrap it up. And if you have a question, you can submit it by emailing info@driftwoodoutdoors.com, or you can send us a direct message on Facebook or Instagram, Driftwood Outdoors, or find us on YouTube, Driftwood Outdoors TV. Well, would you look at that? I always thought this guy listened to our podcast. This actually comes from Santa Claus himself.
Oh, the big guy.
Big guy up north, and it starts with ho, ho, ho. You could go on any outdoor adventure anywhere in the world as a gift. Where would it be, and what would you do?
Oh, geez.
Yep. So like dream adventure. I mean, it could be hunting, it could be fishing, it could just be sightseeing, hiking, anything like that.
Anywhere in the world to do anything. Anybody can go first, Lisa. So if you already know.
Do I get to play?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we all
this
get to go
is-
through and answer this
Yeah.
question.
Well, hands down, Alaska. I haven't been yet.
Me neither.
Let's go fishing. I don't know that I want to fish in the big water, but maybe the river. And Kenai gets so crowded. I'd like to find someplace remote to go drift fishing.
That's funny that you say that, because I mean, for the longest time it would have been golden dorado fishing, but we're doing that luckily next year. And I like that we're going to Argentina as like a warm-up trip, because I think eventually I'd like to do like the mountainous region of Bolivia and get in the real skinny water to chase those fish. But if I got to pick one, losing my dad this year, and then we're lucky enough that my Uncle Steve, my dad's older brother, comes out and hunts with Brandon and spends some time out here whitetail deer hunting. And he's mentioned the last 2 years how much he wants to go hunt that island in Alaska for those small blacktail, like the Sitka deer.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what I would pick for Brandon and I and Uncle Steve to go hunt an island in Alaska before he gets too far up there in age.
Well, it's ironic that you say that, man, because Alaska is still on my list. I've got 3 years now. So at least if I get everything done that I'm trying to do this year, which I've got the West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia. Now it's hard to be 100% on 3. So, but if let's say I get all 3 of those, and I talked to some guys today at the California Waterfall Association, I met them at a Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation dinner in Washington, D.C. a few years ago. And I'm intrigued with the collision of agriculture and conservation in the Sacramento Valley, the way that the rice farmers have really embraced conservation and waterfowl. So I want to get out there and do that. So that'll lead me to where I've got to do I'll have 10 left. So I've got to do 3 in 26, 3 in 27, 3 in 28, and then I'm ending it on my 50th birthday, January 25th, 2029 in Hawaii with a pig that I do as a luau. But of everything that's left, Alaska is kind of the last frontier, and I've been wanting to do a caribou very bad. But then Uncle Steve threw that out, and I thought to myself, I want to do that too. And God willing, I'll have a long time frame to go back and do caribou. And
Yeah.
Lauren and I even talk about moving up there. So I think we should do that, Shags. I think I should put caribou on the back burner, and we should start planning that hunt for Uncle Steve.
2027.
And we could take 6 guys, if Brad Brooks wanted to go, if
Yeah.
other, he's got your Angie's son over there in Idaho's a really
Yep,
cool
Brad.
guy.
Elder Bradley. Yeah.
We should just figure it out, book it, see who wants to go, and we'll do Uncle Steve's greatest adventure.
2027. Let's do it.
There you go.
All right.
Awesome. Well, do we got a final thought, a final cast?
Well,
of the
I
pod?
didn't do mine. I didn't do mine yet.
Oh, I thought that was
Oh.
it. Oh, I thought you were
Nope,
agreeing with
no.
me. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, that's definitely one, but I think I'll go back to what we were just saying, New Zealand and Australia. I don't have as much desire to go to New Zealand and hunt the invasive species that are over there now, but I would like to go over there and chase those brown trout in those crystal clear rivers. When you helicopter into some of that backcountry and fish that unspoiled water and unspoiled land, it looks magical.
Oh, they just got like 15, 20 pounders just in a tiny little stream. It looks
Yeah.
like a log out there in
Eating
the
dry
water.
fly,
Yeah, it's like,
15
that's
pound
not a log.
browns
but
eating dry
that-
flies. Yeah.
That is a brown trout.
So I would say New Zealand's is like the bucket list for me
Yeah.
right now.
That's a good one. All right, final thought, final cast of the pod.
Lisa, I just love you. It's
I
been
love you too.
such a blessing to have you in my life, and thanks for sticking with me through the rougher years
Oh,
to get to here. And just it's inspirational to know that I was smart enough at a young age to gravitate towards people like you and Tess and some of the other just fabulous people, Cassida, Simbeck. I was lucky that I was able to not only meet but get to know so many people of your generation and learn and observe, and
Well, you're
we had
such a-
fun. We had fun. It was fun.
well, and you learned a lot because you're such a good listener, and I admire that about you. I really do. I love you too. I miss seeing you. I miss my buds. We'll get together.
Yeah.
I'll get out.
Yeah, for sure.
I
So,
mean, I can't really imagine a better guest for our Christmas special at Driftwood
told you
Outdoors.
she's an angel, man.
So thank you so much for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Lisa. You're the best.
Thank
One
you
more
for
time,
having me.
plug all your stuff. Where can people go? I'll put it in the show notes too. But again, Merry Christmas and thanks for taking the time.
Merry Christmas. Oh, you want to hear where? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where can people go to get your
Okay.
stuff?
Got anywhere that you get your music, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all those places. Just you don't need to put in Lisa McDowell Snuggs, or if you want to put in my Christmas song with my name, it's a reason for the season.
And hold on to the end of the show. We're going to play it at the end of the podcast.
Great.
All right, guys. Gear review coming up next. Brandon, into the podcast, the beginning of a gear review. What are you reviewing for us today?
A big part of the reason why we do the gear review is because I'm so hard on gear. I go through a lot of stuff. I use gear as tools. There's a few things as I get older that I'm a little more careful with. The bamboo fly rods, the trad bows, things like that. But I'm pretty hard on things. I know that. Bruiser was my nickname as a kid. It was just, I'm that guy. So I got a Blackstone, and of course I let it get all rusted and messed up, but I was like, I'm gonna fix it. So I went and got the Blackstone griddle top restoration kit and the Blackstone griddle seasoning cast iron conditioner. I watched YouTube on how to do it, and I worked hard on it. I did 5 different things. They say you got to do that. You got to heat it up, scrub it, put the cast iron seasoning on it, let it cool off, heat it up, do it again. I did that 5 times, and they're like, it'll turn black and it'll be done and right. And by golly, it is. So a little elbow grease, the griddle top restoration kit, and the griddle seasoning. Paddle Don, I've seen him do this with some cast iron pans before. He even took one from the cabin fire and restored it. So don't give up hope on that cast iron. If it's all rusty, it'll come back to life if you get the right stuff.
Yeah, it's legit for sure. Well, for mine, Savannah and I are going to St. Lucia in January for our honeymoon. And we're staying at the Jade Mountain Resort, which is kind of up in the mountains, kind of the jungle region. So there's going to be a lot of hiking and walking down to the beach and everything. So I need a good pair of like sandal shoes. So I ordered the Keen Hyperpoint H2 sandal. And this thing is hybrid versatility meets hyper comfort. And they say thanks to the maximum cushioning, the high rebound insole, and extra thick midsole, I'm aqua grip, wet traction, easy on bungee cinch. Like, I'm not only looking forward to the honeymoon, but out there running through jungle streams and creeks and adventures with my new Keens. So they just came in the mail today. Super stoked.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
We will see you down the trail.